In this video, we will be looking into how to set up the restaurant listing microservice. This is the very first layer of the backend applications we are going to create. So restaurant listing microservice is the one who will be responsible to list all the restaurants on the front end of the UI page to us. So this microservice will going to have all those CRUD operations and REST endpoints which will be used to fetch all the restaurants and show it on the front end. Also it will have get restaurant by ID which will be used by food listing service when we want to fetch all the food items for that particular restaurant. So the tech stack we are going to use in this particular microservices. First of all, the architecture we are going to use is microservice architecture, REST APIs that we are going to create the REST endpoints, Java 11. For the data source as a backend database, we are going to use the relational one, which will be also be used in the food listing service, but we will be using the NoSQL database in the order service. In that microservice only, we will see why we are using the NoSQL database there. The framework will be Spring, the tool will be Spring Boot, the Lombok for reducing our getters and setters code, Eureka client to make it register to the Eureka server. Because we are using the microservice architecture, we need this because we are going to slowly move to cloud. And the last one, map struts. This is just a way to map your entities to DTOs and DTO to entities, because in real-time IT world, you will never work or play with entities. These are something that is only to be worked with the database layer. Coming forward, the controller and service layer, you should always play with the DTOs, the data transfer objects, and not the entities. So we will be using mapstrut to quickly map between your DTOs and entities, and you do not have to write getters and setters. With mapstrut, it will automatically be generated. I'll show you how in this video. So let's quickly start and let's see the steps to configure. We'll be creating a Spring Boot application. We'll be adding the dependencies, configuring the YAML file, and create the MVC architecture. So let's get to Spring Initializer and download the Spring Boot skeleton for us. So here I'm going to use Java as the language. Maven is the build tool. Spring Boot 2.7.12 is the basic version. Group ID is going to have your organization's domain name in the reverse order. So organization name can be com.codedecode. Your artifact name here will be restaurant listing. Name for the project can be restaurant listing. This is a demo project for Spring Boot restaurant listing application. And package name will be com.codedecode.restaurant listing. We can keep it as jar only, and we can move to Java 11 here. Important part, we need the dependencies. First of all, this will be a web dependency. So web will be the very basic dependency we would be needing. Also, I'm lazy enough, so I'm going to use Lombok. I do not want to use getters, setters, constructors, all are given constructors. I don't want to do that. For that, I'm going to use the Lombok dependency. Then I'll be needing to connect to MySQL database. So I'll be needing the JPA dependency. Then I'll be needing a connector who will be responsible for connecting our Spring Boot application to real data source, that is MySQL DB. So we need a interface, that is MySQL connector or driver. Very important thing, in the previous video we have configured Eureka for our microservice architecture. Now since we have Eureka server there, we would be needing to make this particular application a Eureka client. So we need Eureka client here. Also I would need map struts. Not sure Spring Initializer will be able to suggest me here. So mapstrut, he is not able to suggest me here. So I'll be adding its dependency and the plugins separately in the pom.xml in the upcoming few minutes. So with this much being enough, I'll be generating my Spring Boot project, and I'm going to open this project in my IntelliJ. I'm going to import this restaurant listing in IntelliJ now. The sync is complete. In the src main Java, I have my restaurant listing application here. Let's see in the pom.xml if we have received all the required dependencies. So we have Spring Boot data JPA to have a ORM framework in our Spring Boot application. We have web dependency to make this as a web application. We have made this as a Eureka client. We have MySQL connector, a connector which is important to connect your ORM framework with the real MySQL database. Without this, there is no driver available for you. We need Lombok, which is there, but what we don't have is mapstruts. So let's quickly add a mapstrut dependency for our 2.7.12 version. So this is our org mapstrut dependency with 1.4.2 final as a version. This is required to have our DTO and entity mapping in our Spring Boot web application. Not just this, we also need plugins when we use mapstrut. We'll be needing the Maven plugin for mapstrut and Lombok for the path. So let's include one more plugin here. So here if you can see, I have added one more plugin, that is Maven compiler plugin. Here in the path, you always remember that when you give the map strut as a path, always remember to give Lombok also as a path. If you do not give this as a path, when you generate the mapstrut IMPL class in target folder, your setters and getters will not be generated automatically. You have to explicitly put all the getters and setters for mapping between your DTO2 entities. In few seconds, you will understand what I'm saying when I make you understand doing it by live example. So let's get started. And just remember, this is important. I'll come back to this point. Why was it important? Now our pom.xml seems almost ready to us with the minimum thing that we at least require for our application to work as a Spring Boot, ORM framework, Eureka client, enterprise level application. Now let's quickly go and create the basic structure of a web layer applications. That is, we need controller, service, repository layer, entity and DTO layers. So let's quickly go ahead and create the child packages of this root package com code decode restaurant listing. So I'm going to create the child packages as controller, service, which is going to have all your business logics. Controller is going to have all your REST endpoints required to interact with your clients. Service layer going to have all your business logics written. Repository layer to have the connection with the database. So this is how we are following the single responsibility model of design principle, where controller, we are not going to put any business logic or any database interaction. In service, no interaction with either the database nor any interaction with the client. Only business logic will go here. Repo layer, where we have only and only all the connections with the database and no interaction with the client or the business logic. Apart from that, we need one more package for entity and one more package for DTO. Remember what is DTO? DTO is data transfer object, and we need this because you should never interact with clients with your real entity. So whenever you interact with your client, getting a restaurant entity to save it in the database or to return a restaurant entity, never work with the entities ever. In real IT world, you will always interact with your consumers with the data transfer objects and will not have entities interacting going here and there. Now let's quickly create the entity first. I am going to create the restaurant as my entity because at the end, the restaurant listing service is going to list all the restaurants. So around which object does this restaurant microservice revolves? That's restaurant. So let's first create the restaurant entity. Since this is going to be an entity, I'm going to annotate it with entity. I'm lazy enough to put getter setters on my own. So let's have it as data. Also, I might need to instantiate this restaurant with some of the predefined data values in JUnits or test cases. So I might need all argument constructor, and when you override the all argument constructor in any Java class, the no argument constructor is completely hidden, which is given by default by Java to you. So I need no argument constructor also if you override the all argument constructor. So annotation wise, I think we are ready with the restaurant entity. Now I need all the fields I'll be needing to showcase on the front end of the UI. So the basic things that we will be needing is its ID, name, description, city, address. So let's create all such private variables. Private int ID, private string, name of your restaurant, address, city, and restaurant description. I think no more fields will be required as of now. With this, we are good enough. Now, all these fields will also be required when we will be interacting with the consumers or the clients or the postman or front end as a UI. So I'll be creating a new class as DTO, restaurant DTO. I'm expecting this DTO to have all these values. Also, I'll be needing data again. I'll be needing all argument constructor and no argument constructor. If you're overriding all argument constructor, your no argument constructor will be by default overridden. So give it if you need it. I might need it in JUnit, so I'm keeping it here. Our entities are ready. Let's start creating repository layer. I'll be having the restaurant repository, which is going to be simple interface because I'm going to do very simple CRUD operations, and all those CRUD operations that I'm going to perform is already being in JPA as a default methods. So I don't want to have the repository IMPL. I'm good with the interfaces of now. So I'm going to extend JPA repository. This will have generic type where the first argument will be the entity name. So our entity is restaurant and not restaurant DTO, remember. And its primary key is integer. So in this, I need to make this id as @id and I need to have it as generated value with the generation type as auto. Why I'm doing this? Because I don't want to give id every time. Whenever I'm going to just give you the name, address, city, description, id will be automatically generated by Hibernate using the Hibernate sequence. So whenever I'm going to run this application, the restaurant table will automatically be created with the id as being generated automatically. So the two tables will be created, one for the restaurant and one for the Hibernate sequence, who will be maintaining the id for me. To make it as a repository, I'm going to annotate it with repository also. It will create a bean for this restaurant repository, which we can easily auto-wire in our service layer. So now I'll be creating a service layer, restaurant service. To make it as a service, I'm going to annotate it with service annotation, which is going to create a bean and Spring container for us. And I'm going to auto-wire my restaurant repository. I'm going to create a controller class, restaurant controller. This restaurant controller will be annotated with REST controller, which is an annotation which is a combination of controller and response body. It will make sure that your response is always going to be in the JSON format and not is going to map to any JSP or some models. So we're going to use it as REST controller because most of the time we're going to return as applications as JSON only. I'll be needing a request mapping to annotate this controller with the base path or the URL, that is restaurant. Here in the controller, you always auto-wire a service layer, restaurant service. Now I'll be needing the get endpoints and post endpoints. I'll be using two get endpoints to fetch all restaurants together to show it on the listing page. Secondly, find by ID. That REST endpoint will be used by food listing service when we need to pass a proper restaurant ID for which the menu has to be fetched. And the third, to save restaurants in the database that will be used internally for us to add restaurants to the database. So let's start by creating these three REST endpoints. First will be the get endpoint with the path as fetch all restaurants. This method will always return you a response entity. And since you are interacting with the clients or consumers, the front end or the postman, you will always give them restaurant DTO and not restaurant entity. And since it's going to fetch all the restaurants, it's going to be the list of all restaurant DTOs. And the method will be fetch all restaurants. We don't need any parameter here because we need to fetch everything. Here in the service layer, I will be doing find all and it's going to return me the list of restaurant DTOs. I'm going to return new response entity with all restaurants and an HTTP status of OK. I'll be needing to create this method in the service layer. In the service layer, I need a restaurant repository. So I need to return restaurant repository.findAll. But since you're going to return a DTO and what we're going to get here is a restaurant entity, you cannot return directly like this. You can just have a find all, get all the list of restaurants and then map it to list of DTOs. Now to map it to list of DTOs, you need a mapper. So we'll be creating one more child package known as mapper who is going to have the mapping. So there will be a simple interface, one simple interface, restaurant mapper. This restaurant mapper will be an interface which will be mapped with @mapper. @mapper will be imported from mapstrut. If you remember, mapstrut is the dependency that we have added in our pom.xml. So here if you can see, we have added a dependency for mapstrut. In the mapper, we'll be needing two methods. One to map restaurant to restaurant DTO and one to map restaurant DTO to restaurant. And to use this methods in your service layer, you need to create instance of this restaurant mapper only. So restaurant mapper instance equals to mappers.getMapper. And I need a mapper for this restaurant mapper class. So this is how you're going to create an instance of the same interface, and using this instance you're going to call all the methods which we're going to write in this interface, which is the abstract method. Implementation of this interface will be created automatically by Spring Boot for you, which will be having all the setters and getters and mapping between your DTO to entity and entity to DTO. So let's create abstract methods here. First will be to return you the restaurant entity when you have a restaurant DTO. So I need to have a restaurant entity when I have the restaurant DTO. Map restaurant DTO to restaurant, and we'll be passing the restaurant DTO here. And second method will be opposite of this. We're going to pass the restaurant and we need the restaurant DTO. So it will be map restaurant to restaurant DTO. So we have two abstract methods ready. One is going to map your restaurant DTO to restaurant. One is going to map your restaurant to restaurant DTO. Once this is ready, we are capable enough to use this in our restaurant service layer, where restaurants dot stream. On this list of restaurants, I'm going to open a stream, Java 8 stream, and I want to map each of the restaurant that I get from the database. I want to map each of them to DTO. So I want to convert each restaurant entity to restaurant DTO. So I'm going to use map simple Java 8 function map to convert each restaurant that I get from database to restaurant DTO. And how do we do that? Using the mapper. So we have restaurant mapper with us. Restaurant mapper has an instance that we have created, and that has a capability to help us access a method called as restaurant map restaurant to restaurant DTO. Now since you got a restaurant as an input, you can pass that restaurant as an input to this restaurant to restaurant DTO, and at the end collect them all to list. And then when you collect it, the resultant list will be the list of DTOs now and not the restaurants. So here what we get is restaurant DTO list, and this list is capable enough to be returned from find all restaurant to client. So this is how just in the service layer you hit the repository, fetch all the restaurant entities, but before going to the controller and interacting with the client, you have converted your entities to DTOs and hence prevent any of the client interactions to have any restaurant as a medium of communication. So I'm going to return this restaurant list now to controller. So you have the DTOs ready and you can return. Let's quickly see if this much is running, and after that we will add remaining of the rest endpoints. So let's try running only this much as of now. It says data source URL. Okay, what we have done is in pom.xml, we have added the Spring Data JPA dependency. We also have added the MySQL connector that we intend to connect to a database. But in the properties file, we have not configured any of the properties for connecting to database. So it says that you need to configure your data source. So I need to configure my properties to connect to database. So I'm going to use the application.yaml file now. In the application.yaml file, I'll write all the configurations. First of all, I want to configure the port for my application. Now I want all my microservices, restaurant listing microservice, food catalog microservice, and order service to work on 909X series. So I'm going to use 909X series for all the server port configuration. So my server.port will be 9091 for restaurant listing service, 9092 for food catalog, and 9092 for order service. Apart from that, I also want this application to register to Eureka. To make it as a Eureka client, I need to tell where to look for Eureka server. So I'm going to add now the properties to connect to the Eureka server. So Eureka client service URL to localhost 8761. Now before starting this application, also we need to remember to start our Eureka server. Otherwise, you will get the connection error. I now need to connect to my data source, that is MySQL database. So for that, we have few properties to make a connection to the data source. So Spring data source URL. I'm going to connect to my localhost MySQL server whose default port is 3306. And I'm going to name my database as restaurant.db. I'm going to put my user ID password, my MySQL driver, which is going to be the driver for MySQL connection. Also, I want that Spring JPA Hibernate properties to be set. I want that DDL auto update. This means that if I have it as update, every time my data will not be discarded and new tables will not be created. If I have made it as not the update rather than create, then every time I start my application, all the data in the database tables will be removed. New tables will be created, which I do not want. I want to have my data persisted in my database. So that is why I want to keep it as update, that whenever the application starts, if I add any new columns, just go there in the database table, add those columns. For the previous added rows, make them null, but start updating it rather than creating the new tables for me. So that's DDL auto. Second is show SQL true. Why I have done then show SQL true? Because I want to show what all queries I'm going to hit on the console. Also, I need a dialect. Dialect is going to be the one who is responsible to convert your ORM based language to MySQL based query. So I would say find all. Here if you can see, in my service layer with repository, I said find all. This is ORM language, English language. How will it convert into select star from restaurant DB? How will it do that? That is because you are using this Hibernate dialect, which is an interface which converts your ORM language to database specific language. This is important whenever you have a ORM framework at one side and a data source like MySQL or Oracle on another side. If you have used Oracle, this dialect would have changed because the querying pattern for MySQL is different from the Oracle. Once everything is configured, we also have given the name to our application. This name will be responsible to be registered to Eureka server. So when I run this application with Eureka server on, I should be able to see this application registered in the Eureka's dashboard. So let's start the application and see if we are able to run this or not. Also simultaneously we'll run the Eureka server. Remember one thing, in my SQL Yog, I have the restaurant DB available. If you do not have restaurant DB in the database for you, add it, otherwise you will get that no restaurant DB present. Let's wait for our application to start. 9091 was a port given, so you can see this is the port given here. If you can see, Hibernate is creating two tables. Even though you have just one entity here, @entity, only one entity restaurant, but two tables are created. What all two tables? Create table restaurant. So this was the restaurant entity, and hence because it is by entity, a new table is created with name as restaurant, and ID, name, address, city and restaurant description as its attributes. Apart from that, I have made ID as generated value and ID. Since it is generated value, it is the task of Hibernate to give me auto-generated IDs whenever I add a new restaurant into the restaurant table. How will it do that? How will it remember what last ID it has given to me? So that is why it has created a table known as Hibernate sequence and initiated it with value 1. So now whenever I add any restaurant into this application, the ID automatically will be generated as 1. I do not have to give it explicitly to the Hibernate. Let's go to the Yog and see. Initially my tables were empty. If I refresh it, I'll have two tables. Restaurant table, which is currently empty. There has no data, and the sequence table, which is having the next value as 1. So that is how we have proved that our application is perfectly up and running. Also, it has a discovery client created for itself with the restaurant service name. Let's see in the Eureka dashboard if we are able to see the restaurant service registered. Yes. So we have the restaurant service registered here. Great. Now we need the last two steps to add two more controllers, and restaurant microservice will be completely ready. The two remaining endpoints is to fetch restaurant based on ID and to add an restaurant, and see if we are capable enough to add restaurant in our database. So let's quickly add those two mappings also. So I've created a post mapping here with add restaurant path. The save restaurant method will have a request body. That means in the post mapping, while hitting in the body, I'm going to give a JSON for the restaurant DTO, which will internally be converted in the service to restaurant entity and will be saved to database. So add restaurant in database will be our method in service that we are going to create in few seconds. That will internally add to database but convert it to DTO, return it back to us saying that this DTO is successfully saved, and hence HTTP status as 201 created because we have created a new entity restaurant in the database. So let's create this method in the service. I'm going to save, but what I can save is entity. What I cannot save is DTO. So first I need to convert this DTO to entity. How would I do that? Again, request mapper dot instance dot map restaurant DTO to restaurant, and restaurant DTO is something we are already getting from front end. When we run the save method, the return type is what we are saving. So the return type will be restaurant entity. Saved restaurant is the instance which is returned when we save it in the repository. Now we need to return what we have saved to database. So again, while returning, we need to return the DTO and not the entity. So we need restaurant mapper.instance and map restaurant to restaurant DTO. So this is how we got the DTO. We have converted it to its entity, saved it in the database. We got the saved entity that we have saved in the database, and then we again mapped it to restaurant DTO and returned it on the controller layer. So here on the controller layer, you can see that we have the restaurant DTO received, and we are giving it back to the client saying you have successfully added this. And by the time you have always worked with the client with the DTOs, because you are returning a DTO, you are getting the DTO. Internally, what is getting saved is not the DTO, it's the entity. So this is why it's very important to use DTOs to have the interaction with the clients and save the entities in the DB. In the 2 single line, you can do that with the map struts. Let's try this post mapping first and try to save a restaurant in DB. So our application has started. Let's try adding a restaurant. The URL can be localhost 9090 restaurant add restaurant, and in the body we need to give raw JSON, say restaurant 1, address can be address line 1, city say Pune, and description say restaurant description. Simple. Let's try adding it now. The URL for this is 9091. Let's try hitting it now and say it says 201 created with ID 1. If you can see, we do not have passed ID at all, but still we get ID as 1. The name, address, city is something that we have already, and we have successfully added this in the database. Let's quickly check our database if we have the table updated. So yes, we have table also updated, and we have successfully added one restaurant in our restaurant database. Now the last thing that we need to do is to add a REST endpoint to fetch restaurant based on ID. We'll be creating a method fetch restaurant by ID in the service layer. In the service layer, we are going to hit the restaurant repository dot find by ID and pass the ID there. The return type for this is an optional of restaurant. Now since there might be a chance that we might not find that restaurant by ID, hence we always have the optional of restaurant in the return type. We need to check if restaurant dot is present, then return. It's better to create the response entity here only, because we need to pass the HTTP status also, whether we have successfully passed it at 200 okay, and if we did not find it, then 400 not found. So the return type of this can be the response entity again, and here we can create a new response entity. If it is present, then return its restaurant.get with HTTP status as 200 okay. But if it is not found, then return new response entity with 404 not found and restaurant as null. But one thing to remember here, that if restaurant is present, then we need to return the restaurant but not the restaurant entity, what we are getting here. We need to return the restaurant DTO, which is going to return to the client. So again, transform it using request mapper, map restaurant to restaurant DTO, and here we will have restaurant.get. Remember, we are doing restaurant.get because we have an optional here. So our fetch by restaurant method is ready for the service layer. Let's return what we have received from here, because here in the service layer only we have created our response entity based on the HTTP status and status of what restaurant we get from the database or not. So let's quickly try running it and see whether we are able to get the restaurant based on ID, because in the previous step we have added one restaurant. We will try to get that restaurant from the database. So the restaurant listing service has started. Let's try getting the restaurant with 9091. The URL for this is fetch by ID with 1, and great, we are able to fetch the response from the database. This is the one that we have added when we were saving a restaurant. Remember, the same thing that we have got in the response also. So all the 3 REST endpoints for the restaurant listing service is working perfectly fine for us, and with this our restaurant listing services microservices up and ready and running. In the next video, we will be seeing how to configure food catalog service, but we will not see each and every parameter in that much detail that we have seen in restaurant listing service. We have seen everything in this much detail here because we were doing it for the first time. Now I'll be quickly using all these things that I've used in this project in the next video. So let's meet in the next video. Thank you.